Hi, welcome into the Keepers Fantasy Football Show. I'm the host, Paige DeMoss.
Do you want to tell everyone what just happened behind the scenes?
Chris is already upset.
Do you want to tell everyone what just happened behind the scenes? You're over here trying to set up the Periscope.
Here it is.
Trying to ignore everybody over here.
No.
And I was like, I'll do the intro. I'll introduce us.
I didn't
as
want
we
to
know,
do that to the people.
I'm so good at doing the intro of the show.
I didn't want to do that to the people.
So go ahead, get everything all set up over there. Okay, is Periscope all ready to go? Hi, guys. Welcome into the show. Where do you want to start today? Now that you've derailed us literally less than 60 seconds in.
Look at all the hearts.
Where do you want to start? Oh, of course you're going to get all the hearts, but I just want to know where do you want to start today, Paige?
Chris, there's a lot of things to start with today. There are many places we could go to start off the show, but most importantly, we are going to start with a recap of Monday Night Football last night.
It's a pretty good game.
It was a pretty good game for one side of the football team. Another side not so good. But if you are a Christian McCaffrey owner, if you are a Jonathan Stewart owner, and if you are, more importantly, a Cam Newton owner, you are very happy today.
Yeah, I mean, you had 4 touchdowns from Cam, rushed for close to 100 yards on the ground, worth almost 36 fantasy points in a PPR standard league. He was the top quarterback of the week. That is a huge performance from him. And yeah, as you mentioned, and I know we kind of want to talk about it as part of our headlines today, the running back situation there in Carolina. I mean, Christian McCaffrey gets in the end zone twice, catching the ball one time, running it in another time. But then the other guy, Jonathan Stewart, he rushes
the forgotten guy, except for in this week where he was the guy.
Rushes for over 100 yards, and that's the first time he's done that all season. So you look at Christian McCaffrey, 2 touchdowns, he's established himself as the guy. If you take those 2 touchdowns away, really doesn't have that great of a game. The 2 touchdowns really make it for him. So I still think this is a bit of an internal battle between these 2 players to determine who's the running back one there. They're both in consideration to play every week.
For sure. The funky thing here with this situation is that Miami is such a hard test because they were just so bad.
Yeah, they were not good.
Miami's defense was so bad. They couldn't stop anybody. It was a free-for-all running-wise. And so I think what we're going to do here going forward is just say that McCaffrey, I think, is going to still be the guy. I really do believe that. I think McCaffrey is the guy going to be going forward. He was involved in more of the offense in totality. And most importantly, Jonathan Stewart he had some breakaway runs, he had some big plays, but that was kind of his breakout game. I kind of throw that as the outlier game. But it will be interesting to see if this team's one of the things I thought was looking forward at their schedule. They play the Saints coming up, whose defense is pretty good. They play the Jets defense coming up.
That's pretty good this season.
They play the Vikings defense coming up, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So 3 of their next 4 matchups are against pretty tough football teams.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the breakdown for McCaffrey last night. He had 5 rushes for 23 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches for 27 yards on 7 total targets. Where Stewart, all of his work was done on the ground. He had 17 carries for 110 yards and didn't get into the end zone. So for right now, it looks like the running game, a lot of the workload is going to go to Jonathan Stewart, but they find a lot of different ways to use Christian McCaffrey in that offense. And here's, I think, where Christian McCaffrey's value goes up a little bit. The news broke just a little bit before we went on the air today that Curtis Samuel's out for the rest of the season. So I think that changes the dynamic here in Carolina. They're already down Kelvin Benjamin because they traded him. They thought Samuel could really fill in that role. Now he's out for the season. So now they're in a situation where Christian McCaffrey's going to have to rely on a lot. They're going to need to get Greg Olsen back, which is just right around the corner. So if they're going to continue this trend, I mean, Cam put up 36 fantasy points. If they're going to continue to put up that many fantasy points, Christian McCaffrey is going to be part of the load there.
We were getting a couple questions from the audience.
Great.
They want to know where El Christophe is. They were really big fans of El Christophe.
Were they?
And El Christophe is no longer here. So people are really trying to figure out when El Christophe is going to come back to the show and whether or not that's going to be happening this week.
So I was texting him earlier. I checked in with him, and I'm not going to be here on Sunday.
Okay.
I will not be here, but he has promised me. Now, I don't think I've told you this, but he has promised me that he's going to have a special message for everybody on the Sunday show.
Okay.
That's all I can promise. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
But he may give you his locks, his picks of the week of the guys that he likes. That's what he texted me. I was texting him earlier today.
Stuff here. So El Christophe.
He's not going to be here this week, but he said he's going to have something for us on Thursday.
Okay.
Or for Sunday, excuse me.
Okay. Well, let's go to a question that we got here. Most importantly, we got to check out what's on the screen here because I got my favorite GIF of playoffs, okay?
Oh, who are we talking about making the playoffs? Fantasy playoffs?
Fantasy playoffs. So we got a couple of different questions here, but let's go to this one from Nick on Twitter, and he wants to know whether or not he should start Big Ben or Matty Ice.
For the rest of the season.
Yep.
Well, this is a tough one. I think the big thing is going to be the matchups here, and I think we've talked about it on the show before. Tuesday's not really the day where I begin to look ahead. I'm still in recap mode.
For sure.
So I haven't looked ahead to their specific matchups this week, but I think long-term, you're going to be more inclined to go with Matt Ryan. I think they're going to turn this around at some point. And Big Ben, you always worry about him anytime he has to go on the road, and that's a big concern. So I think without not having looked at it so much, I think I'm leaning Matt Ryan, but I think I can give a better answer on Thursday.
All right, we got another question here on Twitter that we're going to get to. This one comes from Aaron. I'm going to trust you again, because I delivered on my last promise.
Oh, because it's what we do? Everyone,
yes.
I find it hilarious that everyone back in the office after we're done with this show, like, is confused as to why we hit on our predictions. Guys, this is what we do.
Yeah, well, we have to do
research.
I don't just come up with these on
we
the fly.
We don't just yes.
No, they don't come up with these on the fly.
Right.
This one's from Aaron.
Okay, what do we got?
On the screen, we had it. I'm going to trust you again between Baldwin, Tate, Adam Thielen, and Nelson Aguilar. Which one are you sitting? Can I just say he has a mighty fine crop of players.
That's a good problem to have.
From, and this is a great problem.
There's two that I'm immediately putting in the list.
Okay.
Adam Thielen's in.
Okay, Adam Thielen in.
Nelson Aguilar, he's in as well.
Yeah,
I'm putting those two in. So now it's a situation between Golden Tate and Doug Baldwin was the other one, correct?
Yes.
Man, this is a tough decision.
I agree.
I think I'm going Doug Baldwin.
You're going
I think
Doug
I'm
Baldwin.
leaving Golden Tate out. I think.
The Seahawks are playing. We gotta check in on the schedule there.
Yeah, let me look. I'll look up their schedule.
Check in on the schedule here. I know I got a couple of questions from Periscope, so I'm going to go to the next question while you look up the schedule.
They play the Falcons on Monday night.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
we like that matchup for them?
Yes. I mean, Atlanta has not the best defense. I know what Claiborne did against Dallas. That was and that was against a very good offensive line. Just imagine what he's going to be able to do against a bad offensive line. So that worries me. And that means can Russell Wilson get the ball to Doug Baldwin?
I agree.
I'm not sure. Let me see who the Lions are playing.
Golden Tate had a pretty good game last game. He's kind of, I think he's had some injury issues. Going back to being not injured, which is obviously he's getting healthier each and every week, which makes a huge difference.
They're playing the Bears.
And they're playing the old Bears. They're playing Dub Bears. The Bears' defense has been pretty good, and they're especially stingy towards the #1 overall wide receiver. So I think I'm going to lead Baldwin here
I mean,
as well.
Tate's coming off of a game where in PPR standard he had 21.7 fantasy points. Hasn't had a game like that since week 6. It was his first touchdown reception since week 6. He's only got 3 touchdowns on the season. So he's not really catching a lot of touchdowns. But yeah, this week, I mean, he's caught 6 straight passes in now 4 straight games. So I'm changing my decision here live on the show.
Okay.
Baldwin is out. Tate is in.
Okay.
So Thielen, Aguilar, Tate, I'm sitting down Doug Baldwin.
I think you're going to feel pretty good about starting any 3 of those.
Agreed.
But I will have to, as the week progresses, we'll get into more of what that is. I want to get to something quickly that happened on Periscope.
I hope you're going to go to the question that I just saw.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to go to that question or not. But
does it have to do with the defense?
Yes.
Then yes, we're going to the same question.
Absolutely hilarious. So we were just bashing on Monday Night Football about how bad the Miami Dolphins defense. I don't know who you are on Periscope.
It's at Alex K3.
Alex K3.
I apologize.
He started Miami's defense and special teams last night. As we all know, that did not work out very well. Yeah, let's go live to the Rest in Peace Fantasy Football here.
That's what happened to your fantasy season.
That is what happens to your team when you start. I'm going to give this to Periscope so they can see it too.
Periscope.
Right here, Periscope. Check it out. Rest in Peace Fantasy Football season. Yeah, when you start Miami's defense, it's over, man. Their defense is use the word trash.
Trash, garbage. What do you want
we got a lot of words to describe that situation in Miami. Well, let's talk about some top additions. Okay, there's a lot of guys that we're looking at to pick up. This is about that time of the week that you are looking at some of these additions that you can pick up, put on your team, play this week. And we're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys running back situation. Obviously, the decision has finally been made. Ezekiel Elliott is going to be sitting out for the next couple of weeks. What does that mean? The team overall, I saw different fantasy football analysts going back and forth about how that situation was going to impact Dak Prescott, how that situation was going to impact Jason Witten, Dez Bryant. We saw how that impacted them. Their offense did not look nearly what it was before. That's because you don't have to respect the run. But what does that mean from a fantasy perspective? Are you going to pick up Rod Smith? Are you going to play Darren McFadden? Are you going to play Alfred? Who are you playing there? Alfred Morris. Who are you playing? Here right now, Rod Smith's the guy.
So Darren McFadden, I just want to get this right for everybody. Darren McFadden had 1 carry from -2 yards in that game.
Tell me that's good.
My negative points. The only Dallas Cowboy player with negative points. So no, that's not good.
Points, not
then you had Alfred Morris, who was good for 5.3 points, 11 carries for 53 yards. Okay, so that just shows you that he's going to be the premier back. Now here's the issue here. Everyone's going to look at this game and take and maybe get a little extreme here because Dallas was down in that game late. They had to throw the ball. They abandoned the run.
For sure.
So I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more. But Rod Smith was very successful out of the backfield. 4 catches for 15 yards on 6 targets. I mean, Des Bryant had 8 targets. Jason Witten had 7 targets. Then it was Rod Smith. So Rod Smith was getting the ball thrown his way a ton in that game. And I think in a PPR league, you're going to see Rod Smith develop as an option. In standard leagues, I think the changing of the guard is going to happen at some point towards Rod Smith. I just don't know if it is this week, but I'm definitely picking him up in any of my leagues. I already have him on 2.
Yeah,
I picked him up last week.
I know that he's your guy.
He's my guy. I'm starting him this week.
Oh,
yeah,
you are?
Starting him. I'm taking a chance. I'm taking a risk with him.
Taking a chance.
Yep.
Another one I wanted to talk about is the Denver Broncos, New England Patriots game on Sunday night and what we learned from that situation. Now, I know, I've told you before, I hate starting running backs in New England, but there have been some interesting trends to pay attention to that I want to get to here. In the game on Sunday night, Rex Burkhead had more carries than James White and was more involved in the offense as the passing back of choice. He actually had more snaps than Dion Lewis as well, which means he's being targeted. He's being utilized in that offense more. He's also being very productive on special teams when he's out there. You're usually rewarded. When you're doing a good job, that's how Bill Belichick works. You gotta watch and pay attention to see what players are really showing out in all moments, and that's usually who he goes to. Now,
it's the New England Patriots.
It's the New England Patriots, and everything could change.
I guarantee you,
it's just something to pay attention to because it's been happening now since Burkhead came back off his injury.
I guarantee you, some guy we've never heard of is going to be on this team and rush for a touchdown at some point this year.
Probably.
Because that's how Bill Belichick operates. I just don't know. I stay away from these situations.
No, I'm with you. I just want to point out what's going on because if you're in a bind and you got to go pick up somebody.
No, it's true. I mean, those guys.
You're in a bind because of situations like the next one I'm about to discuss. The old Green Bay Packers.
Oh, boy.
Okay? Aaron Jones.
How did the Packers do in that game?
Chris. Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery.
Just wanted to know.
Both out in the second half of that football game. Aaron Jones, he's going to be out for a while now. It's Ty Montgomery. We don't know yet whether or not he's going to be able to start. It's going to be rough for the Green Bay Packers. Now, you saw Williams come in and be pretty productive.
Yes.
So Williams is maybe the guy you go out and pick up now. If Montgomery plays, Montgomery's obviously going to be the number 1 back there, but they are still going to split the carries. And this backfield is going to be interesting to pay attention to from fantasy purposes because you probably have Aaron Jones. He was a sexy pickup a couple of weeks ago, so he's obviously out for pretty much the remainder of fantasy football season. Yeah,
I mean you're looking at this and you're thinking that Jamal Williams is going to be the guy going forward, but there's a chance that Ty Montgomery plays. I mean, Mike McCarthy was clear and said that there is a chance that Ty Montgomery is able to return. So if he does play, you certainly figure him to be the guy if he's healthy. But if not, it's Jamal Williams. So I pick him up and I wait and see. And you can always make the drop on Sunday to pick up somebody else if Ty Montgomery doesn't end up going.
All right, let's talk about somebody who's in the concussion protocol. I know you got the nickname in there. But
Felipe Rios.
Philip Rivers. Tough
yeah,
I mean,
for Philip Rivers owners, he's playing the Bills this week, so it's not a great matchup to begin with. But now he's in the concussion protocol. He now needs to get himself cleared from the concussion protocol. And, Paige, do you know who the Chargers backup is? I want to play a little game. Do you know who the Chargers backup is?
Chris Schubert.
No, it's not me.
Oh, it's not you.
I wish.
That's who I thought it was.
It's not. Kellen Clemens is the Chargers backup quarterback. So if he's unable to get clear, that is who is starting this week for the Los Angeles Chargers when they go and face the Buffalo Bills.
Kellen Clemens.
Against the Bills.
Fun.
I didn't know we were back in 2000.
Where did he go to school?
Kellen Clemens?
Yeah.
I believe.
This is a fun game.
I'm not looking this up.
Okay.
I believe he went to Purdue.
Let's take a look.
I believe Kellen Clemens went to Purdue. He is a former New York Jet, so I believe he went to.
Oh, of course he's a former.
So I believe
New York
he went
Jet,
to
because
Purdue.
Every Jet.
How did I do?
Let's see here. He played football at Oregon. So unfortunately for
like
Chris,
I said, the Oregon
Chris
Ducks.
Live on the show thought he was gonna.
I thought he went to Purdue.
Here. No,
sorry.
He did not go to Purdue.
Okay.
I think as far as that goes,
well,
what are you going to do with Philip Rivers?
You're going to hold on to him and see if he gets cleared, but you're certainly worried about.
But it's fantasy playoff time, Chris. You can't. I mean, if he's not playing, what are your options here? Because obviously, if he doesn't play, you can't not have a quarterback. And Philip Rivers thus far this season hasn't been phenomenal as a quarterback anyway. So you might not be hanging out and going into the playoffs anyways if you've been starting Philip Rivers.
I like Case Keenum this week. He's going up against the Rams, who have not been that great
The fact that Case Keenum is not owned in 100% of leagues by now is amazing to me.
He's available. He's available in my league.
He's available in a lot of leagues.
I'm trying to pick him up right now. I like Blake Bortles' matchup this week.
Okay.
I know I'm big on
You're
the Blake.
telling people to start Blake Bortles. Chris, tell people why.
The matchups, guys, matchups. And Blake Bortles is a guy that the matchup is going to depend on whether or not he can have success, but I think with them running the football better, and I know they didn't do it last week, he's going to be able to find more success and throw for over 200 yards and get in the end zone once or twice. So I think if the matchup's there and you're in a bind, he's a legitimate option. It's not a great option, but he's legitimate.
All right, let's talk about the Washington running back situation, Chris. Rob Kelly obviously out now for some extended time.
Yes.
I've been getting a lot of questions. I know I got a couple of questions on Periscope about Dion Lewis specifically and Chris Thompson. So that scenario, you look at that and you go, Dion Lewis has been the most involved in the New England offense, but it's still that offense. I hate playing the running backs because you're hoping, you're guessing which guy is going to be the guy that week. It's always a guess. Belichick changes what he likes to do week in and week out. Now, obviously, both of us on this show have been big fans of Chris Thompson pretty much for the whole season, other than when Chris didn't know who Chris Thompson was at the beginning of the year.
No, always a fan.
But now that Rob Kelly's going to be out for an extended period of time, you're going to see Samaje Perine.
Yes.
I know you went and picked him up.
I'm already working on that.
So what is this? How is this scenario going to play out? Because obviously Washington is going to continue to try and run the football.
Well, I think a lot of the carries that were going to Rob Kelly are going to go not to Chris Thompson but to Samaje Perine. I think they have the role carved out for what they want Chris Thompson to be, and they're not going to change that because he's having success catching the ball out of the backfield and being kind of their Swiss Army knife, right? I think what you're going to see is they're going to give Perine another chance to establish himself as that RB1 in that offense. Not an RB1 in fantasy, but the RB1 in that offense. And he's going to get those carries. And get him, he's got to take advantage of the opportunity. But I think here for the first, the next couple of weeks while Kelly is out, and this is a serious sprain that's going to keep him out for a couple of weeks.
At least a couple of weeks.
I think Samaje Perine is going to finally be that rookie that we thought he was going to be.
Yeah, no, we talked to Liz Loza of Yahoo Sports heading into the season, and she said Samaje Perine was going to be the featured back by the end of the season.
Right.
Whether or not that happens because of an injury is to be seen. But now, obviously, with Rob Kelly sitting out for an extended period of time, Perine might be that guy that helps you get through the fantasy playoffs.
I certainly think that he is. I certainly think that he can be.
Well, you're hoping he is.
I am hoping, but I think he can be.
You're hoping for sure. Well, should we get to the performances of the week, Chris?
I would love to do that.
We're going to kick things off, the performances of the week.
I cannot believe that in 2017 this is where we're going.
The first person that we're going to talk about here, if you had told me that at any point during the fantasy football season or during the NFL season we were going to be talking about Case Keenum in a positive way, I would have laughed in your face. But 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, 24.1 total points. I mean, what is there not to love?
Is that a guy threw 4 touchdowns in a game, and there were discussions about him being benched in the middle of the game.
Yeah, I don't
because he threw the 2 picks, and he almost let Washington get back into that game. And interestingly enough, we're still waiting for Mike Zimmer to announce who the starter is for this week for Minnesota because of Teddy Bridgewater.
Listen.
Prediction, it's going to be Case Keenum.
If it's not Case Keenum, the Minnesota Vikings are stupid.
Here's what they should do.
You can't do that. Case Keenum has been he's had the chemistry. They've been playing together. Teddy Bridgewater's coming off one of the most gruesome injuries we've seen in sports over the last few years, and he hasn't played football in a year and a half. You can't just take Case Keenum out of this offense and out of this. I see why people were tweeting about that. People were asking about that. But Case Keenum has given you enough and more than enough when he's having one of the performances of the week in fantasy, especially against a Washington secondary who's pretty good. Pretty good Washington defense.
Here's what they should do, and I'm going to talk real football here for just a second.
Yeah.
What Mike Zimmer should come out and do and say, Case Keenum is our starter the rest of the way.
Yes.
But if at any point we're up big or we're down big, I am going to get Teddy Bridgewater into these games because if something were to happen to Case come playoff time or come late in the season,
Teddy needs to be ready.
We need Teddy to be ready.
For sure.
Because then there's no conversation when Teddy Bridgewater picks his helmet up off the sidelines and gets into one of these games that there's any controversy. Case Keenum is the starter. They're going to get Teddy ready in case they need him, and that's going to be the end of it. You want to have a full-fledged battle next summer during camp, be my guest.
By all means.
But this year, Case Keenum has gotten you to the dance, and you got to ride with him right now.
No,
he's got this team to be one of the best teams in the NFC. I can't believe we're saying that. By the way, the premier football matchup this week, I've looked at the schedule, is a matchup between Jared Goff and Case Keenum. Let that sink in for a second.
Jared Goff and Case Keenum, both fantasy gods at this point of the season.
Cannot believe it.
Jared Goff having a phenomenal fantasy football season and regular football season. Next up, Mark Ingram.
Yes, he did have a good week.
131 yards, 3 touchdowns, 31.1 total points. Anytime your running back gets into the end zone, it's good. Anytime your running back gets into the end zone three times,
it's even
you are
better.
feeling very pretty. The difference here is, for the first time ever since Drew Brees and Sean Payton are coach and quarterback together, the New Orleans Saints are an elite running team. Never happened before. This is a completely different looking offense. And since Adrian Peterson left, this team has looked better. They've gelled more. Both running backs there. Alvin Kamara has had some phenomenal weeks. Mark Ingram's had some phenomenal weeks. This is just, this offense and this team is gelled right now.
I hate to be the I told you so guy, but you, me, Jamie sat here last Sunday.
Yeah.
And we said, the Saints are going to run the ball against the Bills.
Yeah.
They're on the road. It's cold. They're going to run the football.
That's what they did.
And that's exactly what the blueprint was. We didn't think Drew Brees was going to get in the end zone. That was it, and they were winning the football game, and we didn't think he was going to get in the end zone. That was how much success both Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara were able to have. Any concerns about Mark Ingram's role in this offense fading? I think that's gone away with the 3-touchdown performance that he had last week. He's getting those touches down in the red zone for some touchdown opportunities. He's still going to be an every down back. They're still going to use him a ton. They like using Kamara out of the backfield to catch passes.
Both of
those guys have roles. I continue to like both of them moving forward. Mark Ingram had a huge performance by getting into the end zone 3 times.
We got a couple of comments about not blaming the situation on Adrian Peterson. We're not blaming Adrian Peterson. I'm actually blaming the Saints for bringing Adrian Peterson in and allowing for that to be such a crowded backfield.
Yeah.
You can't have a guy like Adrian Peterson who needs to be the #1 overall back and expected to be the #1 overall back and bring in him into an already crowded situation where you were going to give Alvin Kamara, a rookie, you wanted to give him the ball, you wanted to get him involved, and you wanted Mark Ingram to have a place. You just can't have 3 alphas and try and make that work. It's just not going to happen.
Pedro outfit is getting praise on Twitter.
Oh, my outfit? Thanks,
mine is not. My Mets sweatshirt. That's
because the Mets stink, Chris.
Is not
the Mets are really bad. Breaking news: the Mets are really
Periscope,
bad.
whenever you want to.
Yeah, nobody likes that, Chris. All right, moving on to the next performance of the week. That is Adam Thielen, another guy that we've talked about throughout the season. Somebody who's kind of flown under the radar, but he's been consistently good each and every week. 166 yards, a touchdown, 30.6 total points. Great week for Adam Thielen. Great week. A lot of this has to do with Case Keenum.
Stephon Diggs also caught a touchdown in that game as well. For the second straight week, a 100-yard receiver against this Washington secondary, and it was Adam Thielen who had a really good game. Him and Diggs, clearly 2 legitimate wide receiver options every week.
One of the best 1-2 punches now.
Yeah, I think so, and I think both of those guys are easily. There's no question. You send me a fantasy question that involves Adam Thielen, Thielen's more than likely the answer.
For sure.
Thielen is a guy that I don't even think you have to debate putting in your lineup on a weekly basis now.
No, I know we had a couple of questions that we answered before the show, but Adam Thielen, you have
he's in. He's in your lineup.
He's
every
in
week.
all the time. All right. Chester Rogers, next up on here. 104 all-purpose yards.
Chester Rogers?
1 touchdown and 22.7 points. Raise your hand if you had Chester Rogers in your starting lineup.
Nope.
Looking around?
Nobody?
Nobody?
Nope.
Anybody on Periscope? We got anybody that was starting Chester Rogers? Yeah, this one kind of came out of nowhere, Chris. I just want to know, what is your thoughts on whether or not this is sustainable, or if Chester Rogers is one of those guys you're going to want to have on your team?
Oh, I don't know. Jacoby Brissett's still throwing the ball there. He's always going to trust T.Y. Hilton. The Colts are on bye this week, so certainly you're not going to be able to get a repeat performance from Chester Rogers this week. Wait and see. I mean, I know we like to overreact and pick these guys up, and one of the guys, the next guy we're going to talk about, I guarantee you he's going to be owning 100% of the leagues by the end of the week, and he's not going to continue to put up this type of performance. I just don't think it's going to be the case. Than Austin Eckler. But with Chester Rogers, pick him up. You want to wait and see on him? Sure. I don't know. I need to see more.
You're in the eh?
I'm in the need to see more.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I always try and go at least for more than 1 week, because if you're not in more than 1 week, then you're looking at this scenario and you're going, okay, is this a trend? Is this something I can look forward to? Is this something that I can count on this guy? No, you can't count on this guy, but you always want to give praise to the guys who had a good week, and he definitely had a good week. Last up here, Austin Eckler. Chris just talked about it quickly, but 119 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns, 26.9 total yards. A very good week for Austin Eckler.
See, it's those 2 touchdowns that I think are the outlier there.
Excuse it.
Because let me ask the question to everybody, and I'm not saying I know the answer. Do we expect Austin Eckler to score 2 touchdowns every week?
No.
Do we expect him
I can guarantee he's not
right. Do we expect him to all of a sudden be better than Melvin Gordon?
No.
Right. We don't think that's going to be the case. So
what if it happens next week?
Sure.
If his snap counts up, if he's more involved in the offense each and every week, now you pay attention to that.
Sure. I just think this is still Gordon's offense. This is still a place where I don't expect a guy that had a good week here 1 week is going to all of a sudden explode. Pick him up, hold on to him, maybe gauge what he does, but don't pick him up and start and expect him to all of a sudden become this, fantasy god. I just don't expect that.
All right, Chris, I know we got a couple of questions on Periscope. Do you have them loaded up so we can...
I have a couple of them,
okay.
Yes. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with this one about starting Derek Carr or dropping Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah, let's go there.
So this person wants to know, do I start Derek Carr or do I drop Tyrod Taylor and pick up Case Keenum and start him?
Now, I know I just said to start Case Keenum in most leagues, but I think Derek Carr is a good option. I think starting Derek Carr is probably where I would go in a fantasy scenario. You're definitely dropping Tyrod Taylor because his numbers have dropped off significantly over the last 3 weeks. I think the Buffalo Bills have come back to reality. I think this football team was not as good as their record was at the beginning of the season, and now we're actually seeing what this Buffalo Bills team is going forward. I'd drop Tyrod. I'd get rid of him. I think a little bit of what you and I suspected at the beginning of the season, they're not going to really want Tyrod to be the guy maybe going forward, especially now that we're seeing kind of the true form of this offense and this team. So yeah, I'm probably starting. I would drop Tyrod and go pick up Case Keenum, but I would start Derek Carr.
Yeah, I think I'm doing the same thing. Worth hanging on to Alfred Morris and or Darren McFadden for a PPR flex?
I would say no.
I think Rod Smith is the Dallas Cowboy running back you want.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know what your other options are there, but neither one of those guys is very valuable, especially in a PPR league, because they're just not going to catch that many passes. They're not going to get that many touches to get you enough points. You got to be able to find a better option. Those guys are not startable in most leagues.
Follow up to the Derek Carr question.
Yes.
So does that mean I still start LaShawn McCoy?
Yeah, you're starting Shady McCoy every week.
Yeah, I don't think
you can't sit. I know he's had a couple of bad weeks, but you got to start LaShawn McCoy. He's still a top tier running back. When all is said and done at the end of the year, he's still going to have one of the top point totals in fantasy football. I think you got to start LaShawn McCoy, especially if Tyrod starts to struggle. They're probably going to try and run the ball a little bit more.
Okay, another one here. I have 3 wide receivers. I am starting Antonio Brown, Landry, and Nelson Aguilar, but have Travis Benjamin and Kenny Stills on my bench. Anybody you want to take out from those 3?
So you're starting Antonio Brown.
He's in. Nelson Aguilar, I think, is in.
Nelson Aguilar.
And I think you're leaving Landry in over Stills and Travis Benjamin.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think you're good with where you're at.
I think I'd stand pat there. You feel good about that's a pretty good wide receiving tandem you got going on there.
Group.
You always feel good when Antonio Brown's in there. Nelson Aguilar has emerged as a top tier wide receiver this year with the Philadelphia Eagles just rolling offensively. So you feel good about both of those guys being able to put up wide receiver 1 numbers. You're sitting pretty.
Agreed. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got? That's all you got? Okay.
So far.
The last thing here, Trade Tuesday. I know
Paige,
you got a trade
I'm in a tough spot
that you want to get to, and this is how we're going to end the shows. We're going to help Chris out.
I'm in a tough spot here, guys.
Chris makes a smart decision.
So last week on this show, I think I explained to everyone I'm in a tough spot because I have Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
And I'm
in a dynasty league.
Yeah, I'm holding on to him because I'm considering keeping him. And I had Derek Carr, but Derek Carr was on a bye, so I needed a quarterback.
Mind you, can I... Deshaun Watson hasn't played in 2 games?
Sure, yes.
He's still in the top 15 in total
7th,
scoring.
Actually. So I was able to swing a 1-for-1 trade of Derek Carr for Cam Newton.
Yes.
Played Cam Newton this week. It's pretty good.
Worked out really well.
Pretty good game. 43 points. I won my fantasy matchup. Bit of a problem. Cam Newton's got to bye this week. We're in a very similar situation. We're only allowed to have 2 quarterbacks on our roster. We don't have an IR spot.
Can I go out on the record here and say that your league has a lot of dumb rules?
Paige, I know the league has a lot of dumb rules.
Very
I'm actively talking to the commissioner to try to get some of these rules changed, but that doesn't help my current situation.
So my first play would be to try and negotiate being able to keep an IR spot. That would be my first play.
Okay, well, I'm not going to be able to do that for this season.
Oh,
so that's probably not going to happen.
Your league has stupid rules.
Paige, we have to operate under the rules that are given to us.
All right,
here,
well, your
okay?
only option...
I don't make the rules, I just live by them.
Your only option is... I
have to drop Deshaun Watson.
You got to drop Deshaun Watson. Okay.
But the reason I think I'm a little okay with dropping Deshaun is he's probably not going to be able to come back till the midpoint of the season, right? Then secondly, I have Cam Newton. I have a protectable quarterback, and I can't keep 2 quarterbacks, so I'm probably going to keep Cam anyway.
Yeah, Cam's a good quarterback to have.
I'm 6-4. I'm in the playoffs.
Yeah, if you're in the playoffs, you have to be able. Now,
I got to go all in.
A good thing Periscope brought up.
What did they say?
If there is a team that doesn't have a quarterback that's protectable,
I'm working on it. Okay.
Trade Watson to somebody for something in return.
Yes, to free up the roster spot.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed. I'm working on it.
Especially in a keeper league. Great. Shout out to Periscope. Periscope really bringing the knowledge today. Vin Trouble.
You're gonna insult the live stream?
No, I'm not saying live stream. They can't send me questions while we're on the show. There's no way for them to do that. So shout out to Periscope for dropping the knowledge today, because that is a good point. If you can try and finagle a trade, If you can try and dangle Deshaun Watson and say, hey, you want to keep her for next year?
Yeah.
Give me some.
All right.
Even if it's just a person you don't care about, it's better than.
I'll work on it and update everybody on Thursday.
Okay. Update coming on Thursday. You guys want to watch the show? It's every Tuesday, Thursday, 2:30 Mountain Standard Time. Now that Arizona has decided to follow Mountain Standard Time instead of Pacific Time.
We woke up one day and we're like, yeah.
That's what we wanted to do. Chris, do you have any parting thoughts on today's show?
No, I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I don't want to share anything.
My parting
today.
thoughts are the Mets still suck.
Thank you.
And Chris, I like your sweatshirt, but you can't wear it again. I'm outlawing it.
Okay.
You can follow Chris at Chris R. Schubert. You can follow me at the sports page, _sports page. You can follow the show at The Keepers FF for fantasy football. But for Chris Schubert, I'm Paige DeMacos. Thanks for joining us.